Welcome to the Future in 15 show. I'm host Caleb Parker. If you're tuning in for the first time, the Future in 15 show is 15-minute interviews with entrepreneurs and business leaders who are innovating within their company and creating the future of their industry. Welcome to the Future in 15 show. We're centered at ExCeL, which you'll hear about in just a moment. We're here with the Executive Director of Conferences and Events, James Rees, and very happy to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning. James, I'm sure most viewers in London know about ExCeL, but just for those viewers who are maybe outside of the London area who may not know about ExCeL, could you just give us a couple of sentences, just a brief overview?
Well, we are ExCeL London. We're the preeminent conference and exhibition centre in our city. Importantly, part of the regeneration project that has been the London Docklands regeneration. So linked here to the Canary Wharf area, the O2 and City Airport. So we're really the business hub of where events happen in this part of our city.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now when I think of ExCeL, I think of big exhibitions like WTM, but ExCeL is more than just exhibitions. Can you tell us a little bit more about the remit that falls underneath your role?
Well, it's a really good question, and my remit is all about congresses and events that are not exhibitions. We do have the world's leading exhibitions in their field, but also now we're a great centre for congresses, large and small in fact, and we host great medical congresses like the European Society of Cardiology. That was a record breaker in 2015, almost 33,000 delegates. Down to small, in the facility we are here in the venue, small training and private meetings for 10, 20, 30 people. So we can scale up and scale down.
Brilliant. You said 33,000 was your record breaker. What is the max capacity?
At any one time in the venue, 72,000 people. That's the legal capacity. So
it's a couple of small cities.
Well, exactly, yeah. And we really were pushed right to the limit when we hosted the Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2012, and we were having, 40, 50,000 people every day. So that was exciting times. And
we're centered right now, the centered part of ExCeL. Can you talk a little bit more about this new section? You've been around about a year?
Just a year, yeah? Absolutely. Whilst we've always been interested in large conferences, we've consistently in the recent years had demand from clients saying we'd like to bring our training programs, our graduate intake programs, and events of that sort of style. For many years, a great series of meeting rooms, but no private delegate entrance, the lounge area that we're in here, private restaurants, etc., etc. So the delegate niceties. We decided to repurpose, and that's been a lot of what we've been doing from an innovation point of view, is repurposing parts of our venue in line with client demand.
So you have 29 training rooms here and centered.
We do.
You do a lot of training. Are you positioning ExCeL to lead the city in CIPD training?
Well, not necessarily CPD training, but what we have done, we believe this is a standalone business. It's a specific market led by specific client demand. So we have, within our commercial teams, we have a core team purely dedicated to understanding and selling to the training and small meeting market. And that links into a lot of companies in financial services, government, NHS, people that need to constantly learn. I think we've really created something here that's virtually incomparable, certainly in London, with the air, the water, and we feel those elements, if you like, literally those natural elements are a great, therefore, environment to stimulate learning and discussion.
And so earlier you said that this came out of client demand, building centered.
Yeah.
You saw an increased demand in small meetings?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And we've had, some of the rooms have existed for some time, the actual meeting rooms, but as I say, the demand was to use those rooms, but also the need, and particularly with learning, organisations want to have the sessions, but then have time to break out, to relax, to have working groups, and we were we didn't have the soft niceties, if you like, the lounge areas, the restaurant, the private entrances, the coffee machines, etc. So we created all the elements that our clients said ExCeL was missing.
You also said earlier that you've repurposed space, and we were talking before the show here, you said it was underutilized space. That's interesting to me. Can you talk about how you identified the underutilized space and how maybe you work with the clients to make sure you built it centered out in a way that fits with their needs?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we had a great opportunity which was partly led by our food and beverage innovation project, because the areas that were once cafe areas, a little bit difficult to find from the main halls, but would be open alongside trade shows and public shows. They just weren't getting the footfall that we wanted. This opportunity, we basically repurposed those cafes, stripped them down, and built these amazing spaces that we're sitting in now, and allow Centred to be a private, almost venue within a venue. You don't have to come in the main ExCeL entrance to come to Centred. Centred has its own lobby, its own arrival experience, its own signage.
Well, it's certainly a grand entrance. Walking along the waterfront here, seeing the old ships and the old buildings is just a fantastic sight. So now that we've given viewers a bit about what ExCeL is, the events that you can accommodate, the business that you do, I want to talk a little bit about innovation. Your website says, ExCeL London is an innovator and looking to the future. We embrace new technologies and work with passion and imagination to captivate audiences. What new technologies are you embracing?
The old days of the venue organiser transactional relationship, I think, are long gone. A venue has to embed itself and understand its organiser needs and demands, but also the demands of the visitors. One thing we see going forward is how do we embrace technology and use technology to better understand our visitors, because we think if we understand our visitors and our organisers' visitors better, we can start to personalise their experience, understand what it is when they come to the venue they will want to consume, how they want to park, how they want to pre-book.
Personalising.
It's absolutely, yeah. It's all about, wherever possible, personalising that experience. We now profile what Mr. and Mrs. ExCeL, what they look like, who they are, so that we understand their habits, their demands. So we now know which newspapers they read, where they like to go supermarket shopping, what type of car they drive, how many children they have.
Are you getting this information from the government?
No, good question. Yeah? No, this is all done through, we have super high speed, free Wi-Fi all across the venue. We do ask for their postcode as part of the sign-in demand. So that just allows us, there's nothing more, and it's all data protected, but it just allows us to understand where they're coming from. That allows us to help provide information on journeys and other information for the future. They like drinking wine, so we need to think about what we're supplying in our food and beverage retail outlets. We have a better understanding, and we can engage with them, particularly on return visits if they're coming back to a World Travel Market or any of our particular business events. We can communicate with them in advance of next year's event to say, did you know we've opened a new deli where you can come and get breakfast if you decide to come early, etc., etc. So we think that's going to be a really important validation process, and we can also let our organisers know these are the people that are attending your events and their needs and demands.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, if I may, and if hopefully this isn't private information, but what companies or what technologies, can you name them, that you're using for this?
Well, there's a couple of programs we use. Acorn is one, Ocean is the other. So those are tools that are out there that allow us to analyse the data of the visitors that are coming in and using the services here. So simple products, and we're finding it really enlightening to get to know who our visitors really are and what's in their hearts.
How are you working with the organisers to measure their customers' experience?
Well, the short answer to that is the organisers themselves tend to do their own metrics and their own evaluations. Organisers themselves will have the whole in-the-round experience of their visitors in greater detail than we would, but it's important to understand the elements of their evaluation that relate to our business and where we can help. We are now starting to, with the support and endorsement of organisers, to do on-site surveys during events, questions that are agreed with the organisers in advance, that allow us then, on the spot to say, how is it today? How's the event? What's the food and beverage like? How was your travel experience, etc. So we will be being more direct going forward, and that's starting in spring 2017. Venues and organisers need to do stuff together to better understand their multitude of stakeholders, so that events are better and more relevant and deliver, the return that people want them to.
There's a lot of talk right now about AI, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, all these connected devices, virtual reality. How do you view these new technologies?
Our eyes are wide open to anything that makes as we discussed earlier, the face-to-face, the ability to be face-to-face better and easier. We know of the 4 million people that come through ExCeL's doors every year, they will bring, on average, 2.5 devices each. One of the technologies we are keeping our eyes on is the ability for people through devices to connect with each other. You're in a big venue like ExCeL. If you come to a big event, the ability via technology to quickly say, right, I'll meet you at Costa Coffee, or I'll meet you at the River Cottage Deli in 5 minutes. We think having the bandwidth technology, which we've ramped up tenfold in the last 2 years, is important, because having that bandwidth will then enable whatever the people that are much cleverer than I am invent and come up with. That will enable those technologies to be able to thrive in our venue.
Last question. What's on the horizon for ExCeL? What's next?
Well, ExCeL will always listen and innovate. The big thing for us actually is linked to London, and it's the opening of the Elizabeth line, the Crossrail project. So we're in big discussions with all of our organisers about what that means for the future of events here at ExCeL, because suddenly there's a brand new station being built, bolted onto our west entrance here at the venue, and suddenly ExCeL is 43 minutes to Heathrow, 20 minutes to Paddington, 17 minutes to Bond Street. Suddenly, whilst we're not physically moving to the centre of London, we become everybody's local venue from a time point of view.
So how much does that reduce the time?
So from pretty well anywhere in London, it's half the time to get here.
Wow.
So, and what we do know, profiling Mr. ExCeL, time is valuable.
Yes.
So for us, the Elizabeth line creates a time saving for anyone that wants to visit here, whether they're London based, whether they're flying in from Australia or Greece or Argentina, wherever they're coming from. ExCeL suddenly becomes even easier to get to than it is already, and will still be a fabulous place to come to events.
Sounds like you might break that record.
That's the plan.
James, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.